This is Margin Machine, where we follow the money behind AI. Olive AI raised $230 million, hit a $4 billion valuation, and employed over 900 people. Then it shut down. Not slowly. Not quietly. In one announcement. By the end of this video you'll know exactly how a single strategic decision, one slide in one board deck, turned the most funded health tech AI in America into a cautionary case study. And here's why the obvious explanation is completely wrong: this was not a technology failure. The tech worked. That's actually what makes this so much worse. Welcome back to another autopsy. To understand the death, you need to understand what Olive was selling, and who was buying it. Hospitals in America lose somewhere between $15 billion and $25 billion a year to administrative waste. Billing errors. Prior authorizations. Insurance denials. It is, genuinely, one of the ugliest inefficiencies in the entire economy. Olive said, "We'll automate that." They built a robotic process automation layer, think software bots that log into insurance portals, fill out forms, chase denials, and they sold it to hospital systems on a subscription basis. The pitch was airtight. The customer pain was real. And for a while, it worked. Hospitals signed. Revenue climbed. By 2021 the valuation hit $4 billion and A16Z was in the cap table. If you saw our video on the company that quietly passed OpenAI, you already know where this is going. Scale is not the same thing as a moat. But the board hadn't learned that lesson yet. And then they made a decision that looked like ambition and turned out to be something else entirely. Here's the exact mechanism. In 2021, flush with $225 million from their Series H, Olive's leadership made a call to expand. Not deepen, expand. They moved from one core product, revenue cycle automation, into at least 6 adjacent verticals simultaneously. Supply chain. Prior auth. Clinical documentation. Staffing. They reportedly acquired multiple companies in under 12 months to do it. On a slide deck, this looks like a platform strategy. It's the kind of move that gets applause at a board meeting. In practice, it meant Olive was now trying to build 6 different products for 6 different hospital workflows, with the same engineering team, the same sales motion, and a customer base that had signed up for exactly one thing. Integration complexity exploded. Customer complaints mounted. The sales cycle, already long in healthcare, became almost impossible to manage across product lines. Would you have taken the $4 billion exit when it was on the table, or would you have swung for more? Tell me in the comments. Because the founders swung. And the $4 billion became zero. But here's the part nobody mentions: the money didn't vanish. By mid-2022 the cracks were public. Olive started laying off staff. First 100. Then more. By October 2023, roughly 18 months after peak valuation, the company announced it was winding down operations and selling off its product lines in pieces. The final headcount at shutdown was reportedly around 450, down from a peak of over 900. That means Olive burned through enough runway to employ 900 people in a high-cost industry, built 6 half-finished products, and exited with a fire sale. For context, the revenue per employee math here is brutal. At their peak valuation, the implied revenue multiple suggested they needed somewhere north of $200 million in ARR to justify the price. Reported ARR at peak was closer to $50 million. This is where everyone gets it wrong. The press called this an AI failure. But Olive's automation bots functioned. The product worked in demos. It worked in pilots. The failure was a resource allocation decision made by humans in a conference room. The technology was never the constraint. The strategy was. And someone was waiting to buy the wreckage at a discount. When a $4 billion company dies, it doesn't disappear. It disaggregates. The prior authorization product, arguably Olive's cleanest, most defensible piece, was acquired by Availity, one of the largest health information networks in the country, processing claims for over 2 million providers. The revenue cycle automation assets were picked up by separate buyers. The staffing tech went elsewhere. Nobody paid $4 billion for any of it. They paid cents on the dollar. And that is the quiet transfer of value that almost nobody covers. Availity didn't build a prior authorization AI from scratch. They didn't raise $230 million. They waited. They let a well-funded competitor spend years training models on hospital data, building integrations, proving the workflow, and then they bought the surviving asset for a fraction of the cost. This is a pattern. It happens every cycle. One company burns capital to prove a market exists. A larger, slower, more patient company acquires the proof of concept after the funeral. The innovation gets absorbed. The investors take the loss. The acquirer gets the distribution. There's a version of this story that's instructive beyond the drama. Olive's original product, automating one specific, painful, well-defined hospital workflow, was genuinely valuable. Customers renewed. Net revenue retention, before the expansion, was reportedly healthy. The company had found product-market fit in a notoriously difficult vertical. The mistake wasn't the ambition. It was the timing of the ambition. They expanded before the core was defensible. Before the integrations were stable. Before the sales team had a repeatable motion for the new products. In AI right now, this pattern is everywhere. A founder finds one workflow that AI handles beautifully. The demo is clean. The investors want a platform. The founder builds a platform. The original workflow suffers. The new workflows never ship clean. And somewhere between the Series B and the Series D, the company that had one great product becomes a company with 6 mediocre ones. The specific number that matters here, Olive reportedly spent over $60 million on acquisitions in a single year while their core product support queue was backlogged. That is the autopsy finding. That is the exact line item where the company died. We follow the money here every week, subscribe so you don't miss the next trail. Olive is gone. But the hospital billing problem isn't. The same workflows Olive was chasing are now being targeted by a new wave of AI-native companies, some of them founded by former Olive employees, some of them backed by the same funds that lost money on Olive the first time. One of those companies just raised $100 million and has a revenue per employee figure that would make your eyes water. If you want to know which AI healthcare startup is quietly rebuilding everything Olive tried to build, and actually making money this time, click the video on your screen right now.